It's quite the place you got here.
Gretchen, what's the matter?
Why did you bring us here?
Your parents are planning
A new resort, I know.
A few weeks ago, we talked about Justine Triette's Anatomy of a Fall, and the fact that Sandra Hüller's character was in the liminal space of speaking English and French, while also being a native German speaker, all three languages coming up throughout the film. Well, it's time for another English, French, German language film, the 2024 folk horror / creature feature film, Cuckoo, by German writer-director Tilman Singer.
And then the woman went into that weird pink bungalow. I wasn't going in there.
That pink bungalow is called the Lover's Nest.
This is only Singer's second film after his first supernatural horror film, Luce. Both his directorial debut and college thesis film for the Academy of Media Arts in Cologne, debuted in 2018 at the Berlin International Film Festival to wide acclaim. An homage to 1980s European horror films, Luce is a taxi driver who gets into a car accident and then must flee from a possessed woman, an ancient demon who wants to hunt her down. Inspired by Zawalski's Possession, of course, it was hailed as taking the demonic possession subgenre in a more modern and fresh direction.
What difficulties did you have to face to get a second movie done?
Well, we did do a pandemic while we tried to finance it, and it's true, it's hard to make a second film. Well, I don't know. I'm in a weird spot because my first film was it grew out of art school, so it was a student film, right? So it wasn't really like a movie out in the open. So this was kind of my first movie out in the real world. But I think like what's hardest is that when you starting, then you just have to wait so long. Like you need a lot of stamina, you know? Like, cause you need a lot of stamina and you have to keep on believing in the idea that you had, and you have to sort of like shelve the idea because you're always waiting for momentum, like, I don't know, getting a producer, a financier, something like that, right? And then once the momentum is good, then you have to like take the idea back from the shelf, dust it off, right? And like be ready to like still believe in this. And that's pretty hard. I think the waiting is the hardest.
Can imagine.
So much has happened since 2018 in the world. Cuckoo was announced in August 2021, with Tilman Singer working with Neon, which had bought the distribution rights to Luce, and would both finance and distribute Cuckoo. When Cuckoo was first announced, Hunter Schafer was attached, along with John Malkovich, Gemma Chan, and Sofia Boutella. However, a year later, Neon announced that John Malkovich and Gemma Chan both had to drop out because of scheduling confusion, and instead it would star Dan Stevens, who starred in Neon's very first film Colossal in 2016, Jessica Henwick, Martin Sukas, and Greta Fernandez. At the time Hunter Schafer was first cast in 2021, she'd only really been in Euphoria and was not yet a movie actress. By the time Cuckoo came out in 2024, she had starred in The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and was about to appear in Yorgos Lanthimos' Kinds of Kindness.
You are here because your family belongs here.
That's a fucking weird way to put it.
Cuckoo, unlike Luce, is somewhat hard to categorize as a horror film. I think I'd call it like folk horror more than any other subgenre. Hunter Schafer stars as Gretchen, a 17-year-old American girl who is forced to move to the remote German Alps with her father and his new wife and daughter, after her mother suddenly passes away, throwing her life into complete chaos. Her father and stepmother are staying at a resort owned by a creepy and sinister rich German hotel and resort owner, Herr Koenig, played by Dan Stevens. Koenig has hired them to design his second resort after Gretchen's dad and his wife Beth had originally met there in the Alps 8 years before. They now have a mute daughter who appears to have some problems functioning, which Gretchen blames on vanishing twin syndrome because Alma absorbed her twin in the womb. For Gretchen, in a new country, a deeply remote and isolated place at that, things start going badly immediately, with her dad having no real plan to have his daughter come to the Alps. And strange occurrences, people vomiting at the hotel, Alma suddenly getting epilepsy, and the appearance of a strange and violent woman apparition who appears at the worst times, push Gretchen more and more over the edge. The folk horror thematics, without completely spoiling it, are inspired by the cuckoo bird's brood parasitism. Cuckoo bird will lay their eggs in the nest of another bird, who then take care of the egg, believing it to be their offspring until a cuckoo bird hatches instead. Sometimes the cuckoo will push the other bird's eggs out of the nest, or the baby cuckoo will cannibalize the other chicks. Herr Koenig is obsessed with furthering human evolution by creating a human-cuckoo hybrid, and eventually a whole race of creatures born from a human womb but not human. However, most of the movie is spent getting to that reveal, purposely unsettling us and becoming more and more sinister. Like Gretchen stranded in the Alps, or the bird pushed out of the nest to make way for a brood parasite, we as an audience are constantly thrown out of our comfort zone, and the movie revels in ensuring lost footing. My biggest criticism of this movie is that I think throwing all of that at us leads us to a very uneven situation where the cuckoo-human hybrid part of it is actually pretty rushed. But Hunter Schafer is incredible in this movie and very versatile, while Dan Stevens flips between German and English in a role where you honestly forget that's who it is at times, and he's British in real life. Herr Koenig is an extremely sinister and eerie character, and one that not everyone Dan Stevens' age or build could have pulled off. Not because he's German, but because it was originally going to be a 6-year-old madman played by John Malkovich.
If I were you, I would stay home until my body was done growing back those cells. I wouldn't want to get hurt even more. As if I was stuck in a loop.
There's an overstuffed amount of thematic ideas and premises, I think, but the alienation from loss, especially the loss of a mother figure, permeates through the film and is often legitimately heartfelt and sad to watch. But part of adulthood, losing your parent and becoming your own parental figure, basically, also makes it a coming-of-age folk horror film. Neon works in collaboration with Ken Kao and Josh Rosenbaum's Waypoint Entertainment. They had first produced Yorgos Lanthimos' The Favorite in 2018, and Waypoint Entertainment would enjoy working with Neon so much they'd enter into a slate deal, which led to their collaboration on Oz Perkins' Longlegs and a new imprint, Feature Feature. Longlegs came together quickly in 2023, but actually ended up out a month before Cuckoo, with the viral guerrilla marketing campaign that cost as much as the movie, although both the movie and viral marketing campaign were actually under $20 million put together. Cuckoo did not get the same marketing rollout by Neon. In a co-production with Germany, Tilman Singer got financing from Marcus Halberschmidt and Maria Tzika, who founded Fiction Park in Dusseldorf in 2017. Cuckoo was shot in the North Rhine-Westphalia region, so it's not in the Alps, unfortunately. From May to July 2022, a 35-day shoot with 2 reshoot days. Unlike his debut, which was shot on 16mm to give it this surrealistic feel, Cuckoo is all digital. Just kidding, that would have been sad. Cuckoo was shot on 35mm, which gave it a bright, saturated look. Paul Faltz, the DP on both Cuckoo and Loose, said that he enjoys creating well-lit, unnervingly bright horror films. It's the idea that not everything is hiding in the shadows in a horror film. It can also be really scary if it's really bright and this neon pops everywhere. Faltz and Singer also tried to do practical effects whenever they could. The shaking when the creature screeches is sometimes in camera, but sometimes they had to do the in-camera effect recreated in VFX. Faltz and Singer also tried to do practical effects whenever they could. The shaking when the creature screeches is sometimes in camera, but sometimes the in-camera effect was recreated in VFX software. They also did real shadow work to get the creature's shadows. In the end, Cuckoo cost $7 million, less even than Longlegs. It debuted at the Berlin International Film Festival in February 2024, meant for a May 2024 release, which would have put it 2 months ahead of Longlegs. It eventually got pushed back to August 9th in the US, 23rd in the UK, and August 29th, 2024, my 30th birthday, in Germany.
And are you, right now, in this moment, are you putting your slashed skin back together yourself?